Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Persona Purple, and today I got something very special. Today I'm gonna finally be breaking down in full a very special piece from the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth soundtrack, composed by Nuobu Imatsu, a very legendary composer who has worked for Square Enix for many years. He's worked on Final Fantasy VII, Chrono Trigger. We could go down his resume all day long, put some respect on his name. We're just gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna play it for you guys from start to finish. We're gonna break down, go through some tips and tricks on using MIDI to get that realistic sound. So let's get right into it. This is the moment where Cloud gives Aerith back the white materia in the forest. That iconic Aerith theme, bro. All right, so before I get started breaking this down, I just want to reinforce a point that I've said in my previous videos. Remaking music of any genre is a great way to learn faster. It's a great way to learn about manipulating MIDI to get realistic sounding instruments. It's a great way to learn about instrument relationships and how they work together. It's a great way to go about collecting sounds that maybe you want but don't know where to get them. And it's also just a great way to just help you grow faster, saves you time from making 100 different ideas versus just learning directly from the source. And this goes for any genre, whether you're familiar with it or unfamiliar. Remaking things has made me a better producer among many different genres now. I wouldn't be able to make this piece right here if I didn't start remaking scores that were a little bit easier many years ago when I first got started. So don't be afraid to remake stuff. There is power in remaking stuff and knowledge to be gained. So give it a try for any genre. It doesn't have to be a score, trap beats, lo-fi, jazz. Try remaking something. Try making something that you love from somebody that you respect and love. You'll be surprised what you can learn. All right, so let's start breaking this thing down. Normally when I'm starting on a remake, I try and start with something easy, something simple, an instrument that has nothing but like single notes. So for this one in particular, I started with this harp right here and this English horn right here. So I'm gonna play that for you by itself really quickly. All right, you guys kind of get the point on that one. I kind of just use that to get a little foundation going and kind of figure out where I'm framing at on the grid and stuff like that. There's not too much happening here. You just pretty much keeping your note velocity in check and things like that to kind of indicate how soft or how intensely you want those horn notes and those harp notes to be played. You see these are much darker, more red orange, leaning more towards the intense side, versus these are more blue and green, so they're a little bit played, they're played a little bit more lighter on the intensity scale. So if you lay a good foundation with your velocity of each of your notes, you can kind of figure out which sections are stronger, which sections are more calm, and it just helps you lay a better foundation when it's time to start adding more things like strings and pianos and just those big moments that you end up creating as you start adding more and more instruments. Okay, so once I got the harp notes in there and the English horn notes in there, I normally don't wait too long to jump in and start working on strings, because that is normally your foundation, your backbone for majority of the piece, whether it's Final Fantasy stuff, Steven Universe, they're all mostly like string based pieces for the most part. So once I've got some easy notes down to kind of figure out where I'm at on the grid, that is when I go in and start building up the different strings and chord strings. This is where I ended up at with the strings. I'm gonna just play that solo. You've got different velocities happening. It's on the softer side. All right, nice and simple. We just got a few notes here that I laid down. So I'm sure you're wondering, how do I go about building up these buttery violins and these chords that we have here? So normally I start with whatever note is on top, and then I go down, work my way down, and kind of just move the notes around until the chord starts to sound nice and buttery, and like the chord sounds right and complete and smooth. So I'm actually going to build up a different chord progression on a different region down below, just to show you guys how to go from a single note to getting the whole progression going. It's gonna go something like something buttery like that. So that's our first note. So these are the top notes that I mean for the melody. Na, na, na. Right, so I start with that, then I start filling in notes. So let's just focus on this first bar right here. So I kind of think about what notes I want, what make it sound good and buttery and warm. Boom. So we got our first bar. Sorry, I heard a note, so I went ahead and put it in while it was still in my head. Now, once you start moving around, you can start getting the different types of emotion out of them. You see how it went from being something more happy and bright to when I moved the note, it gave me a chord with a little bit more tension. So actually, let's just keep it going. Let's pretend I'm working on a completely unique score. Let's try and keep it going just a little bit longer, just so you can see the process of how I get these chords going before getting a little bit more advanced. See what this sounds like. Let's try it like that. That's what I wanted. That's pretty much how I go about getting chords done, and that's pretty much your foundation. So once you've got one chord good and down and ready to go in the grid, you kind of just keep working your way across Sometimes when you want to just fill up like the frequency range and just get a more fuller sounding set of strings, you can always try moving some of these notes up and down an octave just to see what it gives you. So let's try moving this one down. Let's move this one down. Actually, let's do a different one instead. And then let's try maybe moving one up as well and just see how it sounds different. Okay, so you see how once I moved that one up, this one sounded a little bit more empty, but it had more higher frequencies. This one sounded a little bit more full because we moved that note from up here to down here, giving it a little bit more bass. So it's kind of up to you and up to whatever project you're working on to know when to move and shift those notes up and down. But the easiest way is to just go ahead and make sure you got the right chords you want first, and then once you've got the notes you want in there, then you start taking some liberties, start sending stuff up and down octaves, or even shifting some of these up and down a few semitones just to see what type of different feelings of tension or release or sweet butteriness of violins that you can get once you've tried some different note combinations. So okay, so now I'm just going to very quickly play this part with just the English horn, the harp, and the 2 layers of the different strings of the same chords that I just copied, and I changed it to a different set of string sounds from Omnisphere. So sometimes if you take the same chord strings and then just pan them separately, change the sound of one to a different string, sometimes it just blends it together, makes it sound more expensive, more full, more big production. So this is kind of the foundation. Once I had those strings in there, everything else was just kind of ear candy, extra notes. So let's listen. So you see, that's the backbone, that's the foundation. The beginning, the intro, the moments, the build up, release, tension, and then just the main part after that. So once you've got your strings in there and like 1 or 2 other instruments, then you're just filling in space at that point. So if you can do the strings, you're good to go. I'm gonna take out one of the strings too to see how much emptier it sounds. And then add them back in. You see how it just fills in that space, even though it's the same chords, same notes, by just changing the sound a little bit and a little bit of panning, you're good to go. So once I got the strings, I added in all of the piano parts. So let's add this in, boom, boom. See, that piano is just filling in more frequencies, making it sound more full. Counter melodies, counter notes. See, it's giving you the lower frequencies. Not sounding so empty anymore, huh? This bass now. Let's take a look at these textures that I threw in and wind chimes and this choir right here. Alright, so my CPU crapped out before I could record an actual outro. So this is the outro. Goodbye, friends and fans. Hopefully you all learned something from this remake. This is past Cam talking to future Cam. We got to get this video out. So yeah, bogus outro, but hopefully you learned something. I'll see you in the next video.